what you're enjoying about the show, how you found out about us is always great as well. And we hope that you can enjoy another relaxing day here with us at the Waterhole. Well, it is looking a little bit blustery here at dinner, but the sun is shining. And well, let's take a look at what the weather is doing across all of our other locations. Well, it is looking very warm all across and the different waterhole locations today. There's a significant jump in temperature. I am where I am specifically is not too far from the picture that you're looking at right now. And with the sun being out, it's definitely a lot warmer than it has been in the last few days. So this particular bird of prey looks like a tawny eagle, everyone. A little bit different to the Wahlberg's eagle we had yesterday. The very first thing that I saw when I looked at this particular bird is no crest on the back of the head, like we saw that Wahlberg's yesterday. Also a lot heavier beak and a very much larger yellow bit of the beak. And then look at those legs. Feathers all the way down, which is the same as a Wahlberg's, but a lot puffier. Let me say that almost looks like it's wearing leggings, but not tight leggings, loose fitting pants. And also the actual shape of the bird, just a lot larger. Its general impression and size is bigger. Catherine, hello, good morning. You say hi from a cold and miserable Germany. Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that the weather is like that there, Catherine, but I do hope I'm sending all the sunshine through the screen. I would happily share some of the heat with you that we are experiencing in the Lowveld if I could. The other eagle that this could be, everyone, is a steppe eagle. Now, it's very tricky for me to actually confirm whether this is a tawny or a steppe. Now, the steppe we don't see all year round. It is a migrant. It comes from the steppe mountains in Russia, if you can believe that. And it's very well known for doing this exact behavior that it's doing now. One of the key things that we look at is the gape below the eye, how far that bull stretches on the side. And it's just tricky to tell with this camera. But the one thing that's leading me towards steppe eagle is those legs that I was talking about. Almost looks like very, very fluffy legs, and also the way the wings are situated on this particular eagle. It looks very much like it could be a steppe eagle. They are known for hunting on the ground like this and eating termites and alates. Alates being the winged termites that come out of the ground in the summertime. The reason it didn't come to me first and I immediately thought of tawny was just because we don't see them all year. And immediately you see such a large eagle with that heavy bill and you think, oh, it's a tawny. But now just seeing its behavior and also those very shaggy legs is making me think that this is actually a steppe eagle, which would be an incredible sighting, everyone. Not a common bird that we see all the time. And the fact that they migrate so far is incredible. Riath, you say we need heat here in the UK. I can imagine that you are wanting some warmth as well. Janet, you say, what a way to start. Absolutely. This is really amazing. I'm a little bit taken aback by seeing a steppe eagle on the Juma cam here to start off our day at the Waterhole and to see it doing that very, very specific behavior that they're known to do is awesome.
Step into a world of discovery as you join Eco Training's renowned courses in the heart of Kenya's Masai Mara. These courses are the perfect way to gain a deep understanding of the African bush, even if you have limited time. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity to experience the wild in a meaningful and life-changing way. Enroll today and embark on a transformative journey with Eco Training in Kenya's Masai Mara, the leading force in conservation education.
if this eagle does come out, oh, it flew a little bit. I think it actually landed again on the ground. But I was going to say, if it does come out again to where we can see it, it'll be great to have a look at those leggings again to see those stovepipe feathers. I'm not sure if we have lost it now, but it is moving around in the area. That didn't look like it went off to fly. Looked like it just hopped across the road. Oh, fantastic. There we go. Well, we've managed to keep up with this eagle, everyone. I was hoping this is actually a good opportunity. If it does move slightly, we're able to look at those legs again. One of the key indicators for a steppe eagle are those stovepipe feathers. They're much, let me say, thicker than a tawny eagle, and of course, compared to something like a lesser spotted, which is very tightly packed around the leg. And then a Wahlberg's is, of course, there's other features that we look at. For example, that crest at the back of the head. It's all smooth here on this particular bird. But have a look at those legs. Look how wide and baggy those feathers are on the legs, which is what is leaning me towards steppe eagle. Starbuck, you want to know, how do migratory birds know when to migrate? Well, Starbuck, you and everyone else as well. It is one of nature's mysteries. It is one of the most incredible things that these birds, with the tiniest of brains, from a little hummingbird all the way to an eagle of this size, know when they need to leave. And also, not only when we can sort of work out, there's a drop in temperature, they can obviously sense weather before we can even know it's about to come. They are extremely sensitive to things like that. So generally, the drop in temperature, the lessening of food availability triggers the time when these birds leave. There's also a lot to be said about conditions, so they know when is the right time to fly, in terms of what will be the best, no storms along the way, sort of thing. Well, at least where they leave from, in the immediate sort of part of their journey. But I think the bigger question, Starbuck, that we often ask is, how do they know where to go? And that is also one of the great mysteries. But yet they achieve it so incredibly, and especially those birds who are born in up on the other side of the world, or on the in the complete opposite hemisphere, and they know where to go. It's almost like instinctual, that they know where to migrate to, or how to find others of their kind so that they can all migrate together. And it is absolutely incredible. Riath, you want to know how far do these eagles migrate? So it'll be different depending on each sort of group of eagles, but the ones that come from around Russia and Kazakhstan migrate about 17,000 kilometers on average. So that is a very long way. The other bird that does from a very similar area is the common buzzard. Its old name used to be the buzzard, also coming from the steppe mountains that are in the sort of Russia area. Um, so yes, 17,000 kilometers. It's lovely to just also check around the dam here and see what else is out and about. I'm not sure if anyone has spotted any of those lapwing chicks, if they did survive. We did have a pair of lapwings here, and it looked like the one was definitely sitting on a nest just on the far side of this dam. You can hear the woodlands kingfishers calling in the background. I remember about a month or so ago, we were waiting to see the first one, to hear one call, but now they are out in full force. Whenever I walk outside, even sometimes late in the evening, after the sun has gone down, it's pretty much the stars are out, and you can still hear the woodlands calling. All right. Well, this has been a fantastic start, as Janet mentioned as well. And we'll keep our eyes on Juma. Who knows what is going to come down to drink here. But for now, let's head over to Namibia and say good morning at Okakuyo. Well, it is another beautiful day, almost a copy paste of yesterday, it looks like. That turquoise blue sky, and these few springbucks around, some zebra on the far side as well. We have another relaxing Waterhole day in store for all of you, and Okakuyo is one of the most perfect places to do that.
I started watching WildEarth during COVID. I decided that I wanted to study more, and I saw that Eco Training Pridelands was doing courses, and I decided to do the 8-week online theory course at the end of last year. There's just so much out there to learn and to experience.
Sign up for an Eco Training digital course today with the promo code to receive 200 Rand off.
Well, we have a beautiful little herd of zebra here drinking. I love how they all stand together and drink. Move slowly but surely further and further into the water. I think zebras are stunning animals, especially when they all stand together. Those stripes are so beautiful. Hopefully, these aren't the last zebras that come to drink today. We often have a steady flow of a few groups of them coming down. You can see that black-headed heron there on the right. Seems to be a resident here. Hello, passerby. You say you're in the US and it is cold, 0 degrees here this morning. Oh my word. I can't even imagine what that's like. I must not lie to you. Some days in the last few weeks of the heat wave that we've had here across the Lowveld, well, actually the country, really, the whole northern part of the country, I would have taken a 0 degree day. But I guess be careful what you wish for, because I think both extremes are not enjoyable. I do find slightly that when it's very, very hot, it is very hard to cool down sometimes. Whereas if it's very, very cold, you can always find ways to heat up somehow. But I'm not sure if which is the lesser of the two evils. But all I know is that it is very warm where we are looking at the moment, and hopefully that will bring quite a few animals to the waterhole. I think it was Rosie, one of our regulars, who was talking about these animals moving across these rocks here at Okakuyo. And 100%, I mean, look at these zebra. It's amazing how they just navigate through. Occasionally you see them have a little bit of a wobble on a leg, but they find the game paths and then they move off quite easily. Nani, you know, want to know what birds we're hearing in the background? So that bird calling there is called a blacksmith lapwing. We can see maybe if we can spot it for you. They often are around the water's edge. And in fact, there were some lapwing chicks that we also saw the other day, which were very cute, although they are quite big already. But those will be blacksmith lapwings. Occasionally, we also hear pied crows calling, and then Egyptian geese as well. Oh, there comes a gemsbok. Um, and then the other thing that we've been hearing quite regularly is the European bee eaters. that sometimes make an appearance coming down to drink here at the Waterhole. Well, they actually fly and sort of scoop up water as they go past, very similar to swallows. Hello, Noah. You want to know which antelope has the largest horns? Noah, now, again, this word largest leads me either to, I guess, you're the largest would be the longest. Um, there might be different answers for largest in terms of heaviest versus longest, but largest, so the biggest horns on an antelope would belong to the greater kudu. We sometimes actually see them come down to drink here at Okokuyo, and they are these beautiful spiral horned antelope. There's a few in that grouping, such as Eland as well as Nyala, but the greater kudu has the longest of all antelope species horns, and they can reach up to 71 centimeters, which is apparently 28 inches. If you had to, so they curled upwards. If you had to actually remove the curls and make them straight, like this gemsbok that we're looking at, they are straight up. They would actually be 89.5 centimeters long, which is 35 inches. So it would be actually be even just less than a meter in length if we had to straighten them out completely. In comparison, Noah, if we look at these gemsbok, their horns can reach about 85 centimeters long, straight like that, which is, I think, about 30, 32 inches or so. So, if you straighten out the kudu's horns, they are longer, but if you so technically then they are larger. So I would still go with the greater kudu, but if you had to put a spiraled horn straight next to a gemsbok horn, the gemsbok horn would be slightly longer, but the kudu horn would be heavier in weight because it actually is longer if you had to straighten it out completely. But very interesting, Noah. Thanks for asking that. That is really cool to talk about. I don't think we've ever had that question before, which is awesome. And we have this little Egyptian goose family coming here, sort of where the water pump for the water hole is. I'm glad to see they are still around. Maybe we can have a closer look and see if we can see if all the chicks are there. I count 7, so far all the chicks are still here, all 7 of them. Jasmine, you want to know if predators come and hunt animals at this particular waterhole. Jasmine, I haven't seen that happen myself on this show as of yet, but I'm sure it has happened and that it does happen. Um, Perhaps more towards the evening time, when we aren't live, or earlier in the morning. But it is definitely possible. And the waterhole is a great place for predators to lie in wait, because they know the animals have to come here, especially in such a dry habitat.
Are you in search of a unique, unforgettable adventure in the wild? Imagine living with the animals you see on TV while getting an inside look at how a live safari TV show operates. We're thrilled to offer this experience through our 7, 14 and 28-day EcoCam experiences. To book your spot, visit wildearth.tv/EcoCam. Come and join us for the bush experience of a lifetime.
The reflections on the water of these animals is so beautiful. It's just perfect, isn't it? It's so still here when the wind isn't blowing. Well, we are going to see what else comes out here at Okukuyo, but in the meantime, let's head over to King's Camp for some birding. Well, the first thing I can see is this pair of Egyptian geese here, and one is sitting very pretty on this particular log in the middle of the waterhole. And the birds that we can hear there are these red-billed buffalo weavers. They are actually nesting in a tree just to the right, quite high up. They're busy building their nest. And each year they add on to existing nests, making it larger and larger. They are actually the ones flying there on the far side of the waterhole. They just landed and now they're flying again. They have quite a lot of white in their wings. I think there was a Burchell starling mixed in there amongst them as well at some point. Well, those are actually two Indian miners there. So that's it falls within the starling family, and unfortunately, they are not endemic or indigenous birds to South Africa. Those miners there that were chasing one another. I think their calls are also mixed in with these buffalo weavers. They are now found all over South Africa, a lot within the sort of the Gauteng or Johannesburg area, Pretoria, now throughout the Lowveld as well. And slowly but surely they're occurring more and more within the parks. And there we go, a really nice close look at an Indian miner there. And clearly very hot with that mouth open, doing a bit of beak cleaning as well. Now, the problem with these birds is that because they're not indigenous to South Africa and not naturally occurring here, they arrived, well, as the name suggests, from the area of India, called an Indian miner, and they just outcompete a lot of the natural occurring birds, and they have been very successful in South Africa. And so it's a bit of a tough one to navigate through and try and see, now what do we do about these birds now that they're here? They, prolific in certain areas around cities and towns as well. Is there something that must be done to control their population? Do we eradicate them, or are they now part of the environment and the habitats, and nature must simply just adjust? That looked like a red-billed buffalo weaver there, actually. I wonder if these starlings are giving these weavers a little bit of a hard time. Sorry, miners, not starlings. Starbuck, you want to know if it's true that Indian miners can replicate other sounds like parrots? So I'm not exactly sure about other sounds as in talking, like parrots sometimes can actually say words, but I do know that they are very good mimics. And so they can easily copy other birds' calls as well. And I think that's what we've been hearing here is a mixture of the uh, miners mimicking a bit of the buffalo weavers' calls mixed into their own. Oh, there we have a hammerkop, everyone. That's something new. So they definitely can mimic. Diane, you are from the UK, and you want to know if they are, meaning the Indian miners, are any danger to indigenous species. Yes, Diane, they can be, and I think that is part of the problem. They can outcompete the native birds. To an extent where they actually bring the native birds' numbers lower down because they are taking their niches and their sort of breeding places for their own, because um, they're really successful, they're very strong birds. They can outcompete the native birds that we find in countries that would usually occur. Now we've got this other population that is growing very quickly. So yes, that is part of the issue, is that they can actually be a bit of a threat. Oh, there's something else coming out of the um, ground there, everyone. Is that a water monitor? I just saw that tongue flick, very reptilian snake-like flick of the tongue. Oh yes, I think it actually is a water monitor. lizard, everybody, coming out behind that Egyptian goose. This is fantastic. Amazing how when you just take a little bit of time and look closer, all of a sudden there's life everywhere. Picasso, hello. Thank you for joining us again. You want to know if the miners are brood parasites? No, they're not. So the miners have, they're a monogamous pair and they will breed and raise their chicks themselves. This water monitor is trying to, I think it maybe wanted to go into the water. Let's see if it tries a different angle. This is so awesome. Oh, I think this lizard is coming down to the water now, everyone. Let's have a look. They are very good swimmers. They adapted to swim with webbing between their toes, so hence the name water monitor. But I wonder if he wasn't checking if there were any eggs anywhere, perhaps even of these Egyptian geese. Water monitors are one of the predators that like to eat birds' eggs. And often you can find the empty shells, particularly of Egyptian geese, actually around water holes where a monitor lizard has eaten them. Oh, there it goes.
This immersive program will give you an in-depth understanding of the African bush in as little as 7 days. You'll be guided by expert trainers who will lead you through the various ecosystems of Africa and teach you essential bush skills. Join Eco Training's 7 or 14-day EcoQuest course and you will receive 500 Rand off whether you sign up locally or internationally using this promo code. Further your journey as a true bush enthusiast today.
This is fantastic, everybody. Oh my goodness. I don't think I've had such a great water monitor sighting in my life before. Well, that water monitor went for a bit of a swim, got out on the other side of the dam, and has walked just behind the bush on the right and gave, I think, a fright to a pair of three-banded plovers, the one just here standing now on one leg. I think its mate is just to the left. Three-banded plovers are so sweet. They are very small little wading birds and often a very common bird that we see around water holes or water bodies. You can see birds of any size practice the standing on one leg, all to do with heat retention, energy saving, as it were. And these little three-banded plovers, just like the Egyptian geese, will have a mate for life. They will be together. Oh, wow, there was a little fluff. I know that passerby, you were asking about the Egyptian geese mating for life. Yes, they do. And so do these plovers. They will have a lifelong little mate. And they are looking for any small little aquatic invertebrates, perhaps insects that get caught on the top of the water, which they are feeding on. Do wonder where that monitor lizard is. I don't think it would have gotten too far. Oh, Spas, you want to know if I've ever seen three-banded plovers with chicks? I once did. And if you think a lapwing chick is small, wait until you see a three-banded plover chick. It is just a little cotton ball on legs. You can actually see the heads of a few terrapins popping in and out of the water. For those of you who perhaps don't know what a terrapin is, we may be able to spot one out the water. They do love to come out and sunbathe. They are reptiles after all, but they are basically in the Chelonia family, which is all the sort of turtles, tortoises, and terrapins are all together in that class. And turtles, of course, occurring in the oceans. They have flippers, which help them, and they stay permanently underneath the water. Tortoises, of course, terrestrial. Um, they have claws on their little feet, which help them move around. And terrapins are basically freshwater uh, turtles in inverted commas, but they are their own sort of group, which is a cross between a tortoise and a turtle. They can live in the water. They have webbing on their feet, but they also have claws. They can move over land, but they are adapted to live in the fresh water. There's a little one on the left, and they just pop out every now and again. There is a one swimming along. Yolanda, hello. Thank you for joining us. You say that you love the reflections in the water. They are beautiful, aren't they? They're,
Eco Training's professional field guide course can make your dreams a reality. This comprehensive program comprises 5 months of theoretical and practical training in the African bush with highly qualified instructors in multiple locations. Enroll today and receive 5,000 Rand off using the promo code. If you've just finished school or tertiary education and you want to head into the wild, Eco Training's professional field guide course is for you.
Well, we spotted a few different birds around. This hummerkop is still here, and there is, I think that is a red-billed buffalo weaver coming out in the background. They are flying all over the place. But this hummerkop, for those of you who don't know, is actually named after the shape of its head. Actually, you can see those back feathers of the head coming out quite far behind, and its beak coming forward, looking like the shape of an actual hammer. Have a look there. Now, the reasoning for that shape of the head, I am not 100% sure on. It's just such an interesting way that those feathers have, come together at the end there. Perhaps it's to do with body outline. When it puts its head back, it almost looks its head completely disappears by the shaping of those feathers. Lucy, hello. You want to know where the Timbavati is? So, the Timbavati is part of what we call the Greater Kruger National Park. So, the Kruger National Park is one of the national parks of South Africa. It's part of Sand Parks, and that is a particular section that is run by that sort of it's for the public to be able to go and visit and stay in and do all sorts of activities, and that is, it crosses over the border of Limpopo and Mpumalanga provinces in South Africa. If you look at a map of South Africa and you go all the way up to the top province of Limpopo and you go all the way to the eastern border, it runs from the very top corner where South Africa meets Zimbabwe and Mozambique, and runs all the way down for about, I think it is 300 kilometers or so, down south, crosses over the border with Mpumalanga province, and then basically ends around Komatipoort, which is very close to the Mozambican border. So actually, Mozambique borders the whole of the Kruger National Park. On the eastern side. Then on the western side of that park is what we call the Greater Kruger. So there's no fences within the Greater Kruger area, and what that means is that the animals can move freely between the Kruger National Park and the Greater Kruger National Park. One of the nature reserves or game reserves that is part of this Greater Kruger is called the Timbavati. It's sort of in the central area, adjacent to the Kruger, and it's very close to the town called Hoedspruit, is one of the closer towns, close to the open gate of the Kruger Park, and it covers an area of this Greater Kruger called the Timbavati. There's various other reserve names in the area, and they are open to each other, so it's not closed off with fences, and one of those areas, like I say, is called the Timbavati. So I hope that makes sense. It's all in that sort of northeastern corner of South Africa.
Hickory dickory dock, the kids ran to the spot. The clock struck 4, the kids sat down, hickory dickory dock. Our kids safaris bring interactive entertainment and learning to the future protectors of our world for 1 hour every weekday during our safari drives. Watch it live on your nearest device. Don't miss out on the fun. WildEarth, it's in your nature.
We have this pair of miners here on screen, and they've been doing a bit of dust bathing, actually. Well, it looks like that's what it's doing at the moment, puffing itself up and getting itself into the ground a little bit. The other one preening itself. Picasso, you have asked an interesting question about what I was mentioning earlier with the plovers standing on one leg. And I mentioned that it has to do with heat retention and saving energy, etc. And you say that you read somewhere that birds stay warm because the arteries, which carry the warm blood, are very close to the veins and the cold blood in their legs. And what are my thoughts on that? Well, my thoughts are that is exactly right. That's exactly what happens. That's sort of the technical explanation with regards to not only so when they lift up the one leg, that keeps it warm because it's close to obviously their actual body within their down feathers, and that means that they don't have to use as many calories to heat up the blood in their bodies, so that they can produce. They are exothermic, meaning they regulate their own body temperature. Birds. So that is why they often stand on one leg and swap them around, so that they don't have to use as much energy to warm up their bodies themselves. Oh, beautiful woodland kingfisher calling there. But what happens with birds when the other foot is still on the ground, or even both feet, especially in very cold conditions, is that because their legs are obviously very tiny for the most part, especially in birds like waders, things that we see walking around the water a lot, seagulls or just gulls in general also being an example of this, Egyptian geese another one, where in the actual leg, the artery and the vein are right next to each other. So artery carrying blood to different parts of the body, and then the veins carrying blood away back to the heart. So arteries from the heart, veins back to the heart. And so what happens when that blood travels from the top of the leg down, it starts to cool down, but it is actually still warm. So let's say it starts at a temperature of 30 degrees at the top of the leg. By the time it reaches the bottom, it may have cooled down to 12 degrees. And then obviously it has to now travel back up in the vein. And as it's going back up the vein, the residual heat that is in the artery, even though the artery is losing heat a little bit at a time, it still brings up the average temperature of the blood in the vein on the right, which is right next to it. And they actually are so close that there's that sort of radiation of heat that moves from the one the warmth of the blood on the one side into the cooler blood on the other side, and raises the average temperature. And that is how it works, Picasso. But lovely here at King's Camp, everyone. We were just saying, Kulu was saying to me, he's the voice in my ear today, how often we bypass some of these water holes because there's nothing, inverted commas, there. But when we have a little bit of a closer look, all of a sudden this water hole has come alive. We were able to see the geese, the miners, hearing all the bird calls, that water monitor lizard, and the hummercorp. So a real little gem here today. I was hoping maybe we would spot a kingfisher. That would be incredible. Something like a malachite or pied kingfisher love to perch in a bush like what we're looking at there, just next to the water where they can dart down to catch something. All right, well, I can't believe it. Time's run away with me, but we are going to have Africam join us now. So if you are watching on YouTube, please make sure that you hop over to the app or the website, or on Freeview if you're in the UK, or DSTV in South Africa.